Good evening. This is the February 25th, 2015 meeting of the Finance Committee. Our agenda tonight, it's 7 o'clock-ish. Tonight, I'm actually going to switch up the agenda a little bit. Call to order at 7. We're going to have an update from the school superintendent on the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program and the fiscal 14 circuit breaker reimbursement funds. That's going to go first. Then we're going to review and vote on transfer requests, discuss snow and ice deficits, including a vote on those. Then review and vote on fiscal 16 budgets. We're actually going to set a meeting date especially for the school department budget. I believe a quick discussion on the proposed new financial policies, which are not official yet, correct?
They are.
They are official now. Okay, good. Review of minutes, and then we're going to adjourn. So first off, I would like to invite Dr. Brunel up to update us on 2 different items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the Finance Committee. I appreciate you hearing me this evening. So the first item I want to update you on, I have provided information in the past, the MSBA Accelerated Repair Program, where we sought to have the MSBA participate in helping to pay for new roofs at 10 Swanson Road, the current middle school, as well as Bryn Mawr School, and also a partial boiler replacement at 10 Swanson Road. We were approved for those programs at the January 14th Board of Directors meeting of the MSBA. And as noted in the memo that I sent to you, MSBA is going to participate and reimburse 54.16% of this, which has the potential to save the town between $1.6 and $1.7 million. And that number varies because we will soon be putting this out to bid once we get approval from town meeting members, and depending on the ultimate cost to do these 3 projects, MSBA will reimburse 54.16% of eligible costs. So that is great news. I thank Mr. Fahey for his diligence around this, Mr. Barber as well, and we look forward to bringing these needed repairs that are significant savings to the town. The next item I want to make you aware of is we were notified this fall. Actually, the notification first came through Mr. Kazanovich's office. As you know, Circuit Breaker is a program where we receive reimbursement for extraordinary special education costs that the school department incurs. And those costs are generally for students whose needs we're unable to meet in the school district. Oftentimes, out-of-school district placements are required, and as I noted in here, those can range anywhere from the mid-$30,000 range to $200,000 plus. The notification that we received in the fall was that, and unbeknownst to me, and I take full responsibility for it, and neither did the previous business manager know this, you cannot carry forward in any fiscal year an amount larger than what you had received, that you're due to have received the previous year. What we found out this fall was that we actually carried forward $144,519.81 more than we should have. All of those monies, and you've seen over the past several years, I can only speak to the time I've been superintendent, we apply all of our circuit breaker money to reduce the impact to the operating budget for the taxpayers of Auburn. It would be our intent to do that as well with these funds. Because there was that overage, it needs to go into the general fund. So what I am seeking from you, and I presented to Board of Selectmen last week, is I don't need an official vote from you tonight, but I'd ask for your serious consideration in supporting this money to come back to the school department, as it is in reimbursement for monies that we have spent in support of our most special needs children. So I would be happy to answer any questions on either the MSBA Accelerated Repair or the circuit breaker.
Kim?
Dr. Brunel, this $144,000 was for money you expended in fiscal 14, correct?
Correct. And we always receive it in the following year, so it's in reimbursement of money spent. So just like Medicaid, we get it the following year.
Okay, so do you know what you expect to get this year?
We have anticipated that we would get approximately $603,000, so we've already put safeguards in place to be sure that we don't carry forward an amount greater than that value. So that way we won't have this issue ever again.
So is the 144, how much did you actually receive in circuit breaker? This was the balance that you carried forward? What was the total amount that was received for 14?
It would be the $603,000,
For fiscal 14?
correct, and we received that in 15.
Okay. And 144,000 of that? Or was this 144 for the previous fiscal year? I'm just trying to,
Yeah, so it's, go ahead.
I can help out here. The district received, and I'll assume that number is correct, $603,000. When we closed the books for FY14, it was $144,000 in excess of $603,000. So as DOR, as part of their review, picked up on the fact that a carryover was greater than the amount received during the fiscal year. As a result of that, they required that we close it out to undesignated fund balance and ultimately got certified as a portion of free cash. We made several efforts to request a waiver due to a number of things. There was a turnover, and it was unknown, quite honestly, that those parameters were in place. The request was denied, and we were told by DOR the only way the school department could get a hold of those funds is to appropriate it directly out of free cash. So I think that is the article that Dr. Brunel and the school committee is intending on presenting at the special town meeting.
and is the appropriation towards the fiscal 15 budget, or is it, what are you requesting that the 144 go towards?
So what we would actually do, once received, if this is approved, it would not go into the circuit breaker account, it would actually go into a special revolving account. It would be the school department's intention to apply that to the FY16 numbers, based on information received from the town manager and CFO regarding their recommendation.
That seems like it's usurping you just,
It's
If this-
going to be handled as an outside article. There'll be a standalone appropriation for that value, just like any other outside article. And it will be used as an offset to the appropriation that they're granted for, under Article 2, the general fund operating budget. So there'll be the general fund operating budget of
for fiscal 16?
was fiscal 16.
So that would be a revenue source for 16? Not a revolving account that'll just sit there and be expended however?
We've already received the revenue, so because that was closed out to the general fund, we're carving it out of free cash and setting it up for expense purposes for FY16.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this? So this will come in the form of an article in the special town meeting?
It will, for the March 24th special town
Okay.
meeting, as well as there will be 2 additional articles to transfer some more CIP funding. The reason for that is the goal with this accelerated repair was to not have to ask the taxpayers for any money to repurpose, and with the amounts that we realize that we may need, we need 2 transfers as well, but you'll see those coming next week.
Okay, 2 questions. Eddie, just from the language in Dr. Brunel's letter, the municipal side, we're good with the 144, how we're treating that. We're on board. In terms of the free cash, take care of it.
One question to Dr. Brunel. I'm assuming it's for 16, Dr. Brunel?
That is the intention.
Okay. Even though it's appropriated in fiscal 15, it would be an article. Articles are allowed to be carried over from year to year, with the full intent that it would be fully expended during the course of FY16.
Correct.
Okay. My other question is related to the CIP funds. What years were those dollars that were targeted are being repurposed for? Are those fiscal
One-
16 or fiscal 15?
One of them is from fiscal 12, and the other one is from fiscal 14.
Okay, so past fiscal year, that's what I thought. It's just been a while since we had discussed taking care of that. I know this was part of a large financing plan on all of
Yes.
these, so good to see plan coming through. Any other questions on these? All right. Dr. Brunel, we're not going to take these under a vote consideration at this point in time. We'll take all those articles
Sure.
when they come together on it. And certainly, if anyone has a question, feel free to reach out directly to Dr. Brunel or Ed if you have a question on the accounting behind it. I'm afraid to ask those accounting questions.
And I would be happy to come back when you're voting on the warrant articles too, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to come before you.
Okay, when will be
Next week?
next week? Okay. Hopefully, we won't have to have you back
Okay.
unless you'd like to come. I know we run a pretty good meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Anything else for Dr. Brunel? Great, thanks for your time. Oh, Julie?
Through the chair, if I may,
Sure.
while the superintendent is here, we wanted to just talk to the finance committee about an upcoming date for the school committee, school department to come in and discuss their budget with
Oh,
you.
okay.
We're trying to coordinate it with school committee meetings and various other meetings that are going on, town meetings.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things happening in the next month.
Yeah.
So we had narrowed it down to a couple of potential dates.
Yep.
I don't believe the superintendent has a preference to either,
No.
but I would say that the school committee has scheduled a public hearing on their budget for April 1st, which is a Wednesday evening. So preferably, and if you take out some of the other nights, I believe the two dates that are remaining are March 25th and April 8th.
Okay. Well,
So,
the finance chairman is going to be selfish on this. I will be away on the 8th.
Okay.
And I believe I've missed one budget presentation from the schools in my 15-plus years, and I don't want to miss this. So if we can make it the 25th,
That's fine.
just to be selfish to me would be
Perfect.
great.
thank you. that's
Excellent.
good.
Thank
Then
you.
we'll work around
Thank
it.
you very much. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, let's get right to transfers. We have our Council on Aging, I think, is our first reserve account transfer. Mignon, nice to see you. Here early even, that's great. The request is to transfer from the reserve account $523.38. No, I'm sorry, $2,034. This is an unexpected leak from an underground water pipe. I guess I'll caution you that if there's an expected leak from an underground water pipe, we've got some bigger issues here. I don't know, I'm wordsmithing here a little
There has
bit.
been some expected smaller leaks that have been happening, but yes,
There we
this
go.
is a larger
So-
scale.
Briefly, can you explain what happened?
Sure. In late November, we noticed that there was water coming up between the curb outside of our garage and our handicap door around the side of the dining room of the building. And it was leaking down through the parking lot and actually creating an ice slick. It was that cold back then as well. So we had the water department out, and they had to dig up the pavement and fix a leak.
And when was that done?
That was December 1st.
Okay. Do you have any questions on this? So,
Motion to approve. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so voted.
Thank you.
That was easy. Thank you. Nice to see you. Okay, moving along with the transfers. Several transfers within the IT department. They're all going to the hardware, software maintenance account, and for different reasons. I'm going to take, let's take three at a time here. Yeah, sure.
Mike is here too, the IT.
Oh, Mike. Thanks for coming, I appreciate it. I tell you what, let's do this first. These are all going to the same account, I know, for a lot of different reasons. Can you give us just an overview of what's going on here and
Sure.
how we'll move things around? Thank you.
Found some various expenses coming up that were somewhat unexpected, that weren't planned for in the previous budget. One of them is the licensing on the voice over IP system, which powers the phones. The license is up, and it needed to be renewed, and that was an unexpected one. Another one is the antivirus license was up, and that wasn't planned for.
What are we looking at, a total of 5,500 in transfers?
4,800
In total transfers?
for that one,
I'm just thinking, I'm looking at what, 2 pages of transfers, Ed?
yes. 1,500.
Yeah.
About 6,600.
Okay. And just from a budgeting perspective, I assume these were not budgeted for,
Correct.
and will they be budgeted for going forward?
Yes,
They have been.
Okay,
16.
all right, that's fine. Mike, any more comments to add on this? We're gonna,
I don't believe so.
okay, that's great. Don't go anywhere, though, okay, just in case. What I'd like to do is on the first page of transfers, I'd like to accept a motion to take these 3 as one transfer.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we're moving 800. This is coming from the systems manager account, and we'll have a question as to why the funds were available there. $800 to cover a lease payment for telephone system, $1,500 for warranty for phone system, $2,500 for antivirus renewal. I'm going to open it to any questions specific to these 3 transfers, all going to the hardware, software, maintenance account. Mike, just why is there availability in the systems manager account?
I believe that's the leftover money from what was budgeted for Bill Waterman's salary. Is that correct,
Okay.
Eddie?
Yeah, if I may, and I don't know if we formally introduced Mike Marino to the Finance Committee. Mike joined the team in October
Okay.
after Bill Waterman retired. So Mike was not responsible for the formulation or any had any input in FY15 budget.
Okay,
So these items have been addressed, I can tell you, in the FY16 budget. There was money left over as a result of the turnover in personnel. So that money is available to, within that line item, to transfer to these,
Okay.
for these needs.
great.
Motion for Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Okay, that's good. Our second page of transfers also within IT, all from systems manager to hardware, software maintenance. I'll accept the motion to take these 3 as one.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. $830 to the hardware, software maintenance account for replacing a purchase order printer, $50 for warranty on backup server, and $780 for updates on email archive. Any questions or comments on these transfers?
Motion to recommend. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Mike, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may add also.
Absolutely.
Mike came to us in October, as Ed said, from the school department.
Oh,
He
really?
was an assistant IT director, so he has a lot of municipal experience. Mike, how long were you with the school department?
I was at the school for 12 years.
Excellent.
So, had worked previously with our former, who retired, IT director, Bill Waterman, so he knew our systems.
Good.
So we can't say enough about Mike. He stepped right into it, took right over, and he's been a great addition.
Good.
He's just done a
Great.
great job.
Great. Nice to meet you, Mike.
Might not be happy that we stole him, but
Yeah, no, can't be happy about everything. Thanks, Julie, for the background. We have a DPW highway transfer. This is from the wages full-time account. Amount requested is $20,000. There is a present balance of just under $33,000 in this account to the fleet maintenance motor vehicle repair account. The reason for the transfer, this will continue to maintain all town-owned rolling stock. Jeff Mitchell's here, I believe, to give us a little bit of a background on that. Jeff?
All I can say is it's been a brutal winter since
Sure.
December on. I did a or half a year fleet savings report, and as of the end of December, we were in the black by almost $36,000. So between then and now, and it's mainly due to the amount of snow that we've had.
Sure.
The plow equipment has taken quite a beating. We had a series of repairs on one of the fire trucks that was rather costly. It was like $17,000. And the cost of the parts itself have gone up, you know. Anything that was $300 to $400 now is almost double that, you know, in cost in itself, so. I was hoping to have 2 years in a row without a transfer, but unfortunately, it's not gonna happen this year.
Okay, well,
But it still keeps us in the black, even with the 20,000, and hopefully, if Mother Nature cooperates, we won't be back.
I'm not counting on that. The wages account are we putting any real pressure on that, or is there just some availability
No,
there?
there's still plenty of money in there, due to, employees that, were left. Actually, we've had three new employees since, July 1st, so.
Okay. All right,
And they're coming in at a lower rate of pay when they start, so.
good,
Between the vacancies and the lower rate, it's a substantial savings.
that's good. And obviously, we'll see the reflection of those lower wages in the budget for next year. I'm micromanaging that right now, but in case I forget next time we meet, Ed. Any questions or comments on this?
Question?
Yep.
Can you say that, so are we in the red or the black? And how much was it? You said the fleet maintenance?
Well, as of December, we were in the black 36,000. So we're transferring in the 20.
Okay.
So that still leaves us right now with 15,000. So
All right, thank you.
not as good as last year, but
Big difference in years. Do you have a motion on this?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye, opposed, so voted. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. And we have also a DPW highway transfer from the wages full-time account, $944.88 for advertising. And the reason for the transfer is due to a poor response, we had to advertise the craftsman position. Full background on that, Jeff?
yeah, each advertisement is about $450 or so. And like I said, we've had to hire 3 different employees, so it was an unexpected additional amount.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Motion to recommend?
Slide up.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you. Jeff, anything else?
Should be one more.
I've got
Technical clothing.
animal control next, unless I missed one. Planning.
I have
We don't have that?
I don't have that.
We do not have that.
it. Oh, really?
Huh?
Has a copy of it, but we didn't get the original.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll have to be taken care of at a later date.
So
Can I wait till next week, Jeff?
As far as I know.
that can wait? All right.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. Jeff, thanks for coming up. Appreciate your time. Okay. Our next transfer, this is under Inspectional Services Animal Control. This transfer from the travel account, which has almost $3,500 in it. Amount requested $385 to the repair and maintenance account to cover the Worcester Mobile Lock and Key Service invoice. Any information on this?
This is to relock the kennel. There were some issues with the locks down there, so this totally replaced the locks at the kennel.
Okay.
Motion to recommend.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you. Also, under animal control, we've got 2 transfers. We'll take them separately. The first one is from the travel account, amount requested $338.99 to the telephone account. No description for the reason for the transfer, Ed? I had verbally okayed this one. Remember?
Through the chair, the animal control officer is a new employee. She began with us on January 12th.
Yeah.
She was using a very old type of flip telephone. We needed to get her a phone that she could use from the field. She's out in the field a lot with the animals. As calls were coming in, she couldn't even take 2 calls at once. Also wanted to be able to still access all of her files from the field or any files that she needed to research while out in the field on an emergency call.
There's a commercial about someone doing that now. I don't know. I watch commercials, I guess.
And this is for a VoIP phone as well, because she now has a presence here in the Department of DIS.
Okay.
So we had to purchase a phone to connect to the network.
So this is a phone purchase, then?
Yeah, right.
Okay, all righty. Any questions? A motion on this?
Motion?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. The second transfer also from the travel account, amount requested $500 to repair and maintenance.
This is for repairs for the ACO's vehicle, which is parked out in the back.
Now, through the chair, this is a vehicle that it is on loan to us from the police department.
Okay.
It was a police department vehicle that was no longer being used by the police department. So we were able to use it. It doesn't need to be used that often, but it's large enough to hold a large-sized dog cage, which our prior ACO utilized her own vehicle, and that she had a truck. Our new ACO has a very small car. I don't think she could even fit a small cage in her own vehicle.
Yeah.
So for emergency purposes, we borrowed the vehicle from the police department. And I would say borrowed, we have to be careful under green community status to not transfer plates, but the vehicle's on loan because it is an emergency vehicle, and it is from the police department, and it is
Yeah.
related to emergency calls. So you do see that vehicle out there. All police insignia have been taken off of the vehicle. DPW painted the side of the vehicle and we put the magnetic seal on the side of it, so everyone knows that that's an official call.
And it needed some work to get up to ACO snuff, whatever that measure or
Yeah.
grade is. Okay. Any
Motion to
questions?
recommend?
Okay. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you. I really verbally approve this. This just, wow. My mind is a terrible thing to waste, Ed. Okay, this is within the planning department. From the travel account, amount requested $573.75 for miscellaneous supplies. Any idea what this is? And can we take Darlene to task on putting in reasons for transfers? Actually, you know what, before we,
I did have that written down.
well, I'll accept a motion to take these two transfers together. They're both going to miscellaneous supplies.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Ed, any idea for,
Do I, I apologize, I have the reason written down on a copy of this down on my desk, so.
well, I verbally okayed it, so I wrote down that reason somewhere too, and I don't have that either, so.
Do you remember, Sharon?
Yeah, the first one was for FileMaker Pro licensing fees,
Yeah, that's what it was.
and the second one is for a keyboard,
For a keyboard?
for the new
Okay.
planner, I believe.
Okay. All right, so we have $573.75 and $22.96 being transferred. Any questions?
Motion to recommend?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Okay, enough for verbal transfers. Within the assessor's office, we have a request for transfer from the supplies account, $20. This is for membership dues. This is to cover the Mass chapter of IAAO dues.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you. Also in the assessor's office, a motion to transfer from the clerical account. Actually, Ed, this transfer, if I'm reading it correctly, is a negative balance in the clerical account. Was this,
Right now, because we,
Just did it.
We had an individual who left, the assistant assessor, the
Kim and I, or I and
data collector left, and the individual who previously held the clerical position filled that position. So we advertised for the clerical position. So there's money, that balance is incorrect.
Yeah,
Negative balance,
that's what I'm asking.
because there's money in there. As a matter of fact, I'll get that for you right now.
Okay.
So we're just moving money from the clerical to the assistant assessor because she had some accrued vacation time that we had to pay when she left the system.
Okay. So the request is to transfer from the clerical account to the assistant assessor / data collector account amount of $1,279.89 with a CFO certified positive balance of some amount.
Mr. Chairman, clerical is $6,495 left. $1,200.
Thanks, Ed. Any questions on this?
motion to recommend. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you. Okay. Our last transfer. This is within general services. This is from the water sewer heating account. Amount requested $9,000 to the postage account. Reason for the transfer, needed to pay expenses for billing company for mailing, census, tax bills, etc. There were also 2 unexpected town meetings in this fiscal year and need to mail town meeting members warrants and bylaws. So this is covering expenses right through May.
Correct. This, through the chair, this covers 2 special town meetings, one that was held in November for the Chapter 61A land, and one that's coming up on March 24th for the bylaws.
Yeah, so we've had
And they were not scheduled. when the
2
budget-
unscheduled, right? Yeah, okay. Any questions? Motion?
Motion to recommend.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you. All right, so that takes care of the transfers part of the show. Our next item is snow and ice deficits. Vote in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44S, 31D, to approve the fiscal 15 expenditures in excess of available appropriations for snow and ice removal.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any questions, discussions? Ed, I've got about 110,000 in, is that right?
Look, are we just moving to
Yeah, and
authorize the
growing.
overage?
In growing.
As of Friday.
As of-
Prior to the weekend.
As of Friday. So the way this works is then we approve this, subject to additional deficits we'll have to vote on in the future, right?
Once
Remember that?
authorized...
We don't have to then?
Right.
Okay. So this isn't for a specific number, it's just to allow it to happen. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you.
How much is this? Do you want to say that number? Did you say it? 110?
Yeah, just, Eddie, if my math is correct, we're at about 110,000 in deficit.
What, the 9,000?
I think the wages is the deficit balance of $52,578.47,
Not the town meeting
and E&S,
census or...
all other expenses, $71,270.90, so
So it's more,
$123,000.
so this is more than, yeah,
That's a lot more higher than this.
yeah. We've got a, yeah, okay.
This was a snapshot as of the day it was prepared, so
would've
that's why I
been-
said and growing, because
Right. It was, the, Bill's memo on this is dated the 20th of February, so that was what, last Thursday or Friday? Yeah, at least one, yeah. Okay.
Jeff, can you update the committee on our FEMA situation and...
That you anticipated us. Thank you.
A couple of weeks back, we were notified that, actually, what it is, it's an exercise for MEMA to put forth, or to petition FEMA for federal monies because, due to the blizzard. And at that time, obviously, they didn't know what the impact of the other 3 storms, the large storms that we received. So I did the paperwork, I did the numbers, quick numbers, and it put us at about $78,000 and some change, you know, as a preliminary number for the blizzard. And FEMA reimburses 75% of that. So as it stands right now, you know, the number, the 78,000 that I come up with will be tweaked a little bit, so it will be a little bit higher. And like I said, 75% of that. We've got a conference call tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 with, is it MEMA or is it MEMA? What they're gonna do is they're gonna petition even further to include the 4 storms, so it'll be January 26th through February 22nd. So that number should, I would say, at least double for us, if not more. Could be 2.5 times. As far as what our total amounts will be that we'll be looking for their 75% reimbursement. The only issue is we won't see that probably until next fiscal year.
At least as I remember. Julie?
Through the chair, I want to also add, I think it's important to note, our costs could have been higher had we not reached out and received assistance from several other agencies that actually last week sent in equipment and labor to us. We contacted MEMA, and MEMA sent crews and equipment from, I know, Pennsylvania DOT and a few other states had sent bucket loaders and dump trucks, as well as crews. We also received help from the National Guard that came in. We reached out to them to see if they could come help us dig out all of our hydrants. So on Friday, they removed snow from 150 hydrants that had been completely buried and needed heavy equipment to get to. We also contacted the Sheriff's Community Service Office, and we received help from the sheriff's crew last Thursday. We had crews all over town. So I think that this could have been an even worse situation had we not been able to procure some equipment and other resources through MEMA. So we're grateful to have that help.
Okay. I could just say from my section of town, the guys did a great, the people did a great job anyways, under obviously tough circumstances, and we're going to have tough roads for a little ways to go, I'm sure. Thanks for the update on that. Any questions or comments for Jeff while he's giving us his time here? Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff. And yeah, we probably won't see that money.
It's usually not
Just a
until the following
year and a half, 2
fiscal
years?
year.
Yeah, at least on that. Okay. Yes, Kim?
What is our snow removal budget?
300,000?
300,000.
And
And
we're, and right now you think we're at about 173,000 deficit?
About 123,000?
I mean, 123?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not, like I said, it
No.
could be, given the volume of snow we've had, it's been
Given-
historic
I
snow.
mean, I think, I suspect that
Oh,
we're in much better shape than a lot of places.
yeah.
You know, we've made an effort. I mean, this is one of our priorities.
Right.
We've actually added about 50,000. I think we were at about 243 for a number of years. We got it up to 300. We'd like to get it up closer to the 3-year average, which is about 350 to 375,000. So when the opportunity does allow us to, we plan on adding incrementally if we can to get up more towards a 3-year average.
You know, DPW, through the chair, they've just done a tremendous job this year with all of the snow. It's incredible. And even though it appears that there were only the storms that started on January 27th, prior to that, they had been out 8 times in December. We had a number of smaller storms that required full crews to go out. We had a lot of icing in
Right.
December. We had a snowstorm on Thanksgiving. So you tend to forget the things that happened earlier, but all along, prior to the blizzard even hitting, we had 8 times where DPW had to go out and treat the roads or clear the roads.
And it's snow on solid mud,
And then it has not stopped. They've done a great job. And again, the extra help that we were able to procure last weekend allowed our crews to focus on other things while we brought in the equipment to, for instance, some of the Mass DOT equipment we put out in the parking lots of the schools. Because the parking lots were getting so tight, there was no room to even put cars. So we were able to clear those up and save the DPW crew to do some of the other work that they've been needing to do. They've done a great job.
Have we had, just while I'm thinking of it, have we had any major equipment failures that are going to have a capital plan impact? Good. Okay. Okay, good. Ed?
Through the chair. Ed, on the fuel costs, is that tracked under a different category from the snow removal? Or is that kind of just contemplated in the,
No, the fuel is charged as general services. It doesn't have its own line item. What I can tell you is it does become part of the calculation when we request money from FEMA.
okay, that's what I was kind of wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's included in the charge or the cost per vehicle.
Okay,
FEMA gives us a certain amount for each type of vehicle. Like a sand truck, for example, you get an amount for the truck, then you add on an amount for the sander, and you add on an amount for the plow as well. So it's a three-part
okay.
calculation per vehicle.
All set? Good. Okay, great. And thanks for the update again, Jeff. Regarding our next agenda items, do we want to go over the fiscal 16 budget first or the proposed new financial policies first? Julie, do you have a preference on that?
I do not. Whatever the...
Yeah, let's go over the new financial policies first and then the budget. I think with our timing here, we're not really going to get to any budgets anyways, but we certainly can get the overview that Ed's going to have on that.
And through the chair, Ed will provide the overview of the specifics of it. I would just start off by just telling you that what you have in your packet is a memo that I submitted to the Board of Selectmen on January 23rd. Last March of 2014, the board, in addition to the regular goals that I get, the daily type operational goals, gave me 3 goals. One of those 3 goals was to review our current financial policies, and if we felt it was appropriate, make any recommendations for changes, which we did review and felt there were no changes, but we did make a recommendation for 2 investment policies that you have before you hear this evening. And I just want to make sure I answered your question correctly at the beginning of the night when you said, are these official? These are the policies that were proposed to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen has not taken a vote on these yet.
That's what I had thought on
So,
this.
and I wasn't sure if that's what you were asking. They have not voted on them yet. They do have them.
Okay.
They were provided, again, in January, and the board's taking their time to look at it. We've had a couple of board members. I know Selectman Holstrom has come and talked to us to get some questions answered about them, and just to be comfortable, and the chairs asked some questions. So when they're ready to move forward, they would be adopting these. And we would be asking the Finance Committee also to look at these and adopt them, similar to the process we took on in November of 12. But I'm going to let Ed explain what these do and how we put them together.
Thank you, Julie. There are 2 investment policies that we have proposed. Let me first say that the regular investment policy, which really applies to all of our cash in investments, we've had a policy. It was not part of the financial policies that you adopted, and we thought it would be best if we incorporated that and got a vote of the Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen. Quite honestly, the policy that we were adhering to was somewhat outdated. It was last updated in 2008. We thought it was time to review and to update to the current standards and regulations as allowed under the law. It does address different vehicles of investment. It also involves a component of arbitrage where we have to spend bond proceeds within a certain period of time and avoid any potential penalties and interest on paybacks that we would owe the IRS. So it lays that out for certain funds such as construction debt, how much you have to spend within the first 6 months, first year, up to a 2-year period. And it applies to general fund cash, special revenue, there's a section on stabilization. Stabilization is somewhat, a little different because it doesn't have to be as liquid as the other cash to meet our day-to-day obligations and liabilities. The other piece is an OPEB policy. It is an investment policy. Unlike the other investment policy, OPEB is a trust. There is a non-expendable portion. Actually, it's all non-expendable because we don't expend any portions of OPEB. Once it goes into OPEB, it stays into OPEB. So for that reason, the investment strategy is somewhat different because we can invest for a longer period of time. It does not have to be liquid, and we can maximize our return on that investment as best we can. So there are risk factors that we have to consider. There are municipalities that were on the brink of bankruptcy because they didn't invest in a prudent way. There are regulations that drive what we can invest and not invest in. And basically, that's the drive behind both of these investment policies. And we wanted to make it part of our overall guideline and policies that you consider and adopt as well. Good point. Julie also brought up the fact that this bodes well for the bond rating agencies as well. They like to see an investment policy in place. This formalizes it. I mean, we always had one in place. We never had an OPEB, so the OPEB is new. The other investment policies we had, but they like to see it part of an overall strategy, an overall investment policy, have that incorporated in there as well.
Okay, are there any questions on this? Do you have any expectation when the board is going to pick up in terms of taking a vote or accepting
Through the
this?
chair, I'm not sure when they're going to do that. There's no immediate rush. We just want to make sure that these policies are in place, clearly, well before the time we go out to borrow again for the bond rating agencies. We would hope that the board would be able to take a vote within a month or so. We don't want to rush it. We want them to be able to look at the policies, but within a month, it would be nice to have the board's vote so we can start proceeding.
Yeah, and I'm only asking so we can set up this as an agenda item sometime before the board votes on it, in case we have any questions. We may or may not have any questions, but it'll give us an opportunity to have a quick discussion on this if necessary.
Through the board, through the chair, this was a goal of the Board of Selectmen for me to provide to them. So my timeline was to get it to them before the end of January. So that's what I did. It doesn't mean they needed to vote on it. They just had to have it by the end of January.
Okay.
So we can coordinate with you as to when you may want to vote on it, and then talk to the chair of the Board of Selectmen and see if she could put it on the agenda after your vote.
I think it would just make sense to coordinate that without any tight time frame on it.
Yeah, there's nothing that's driving an immediate.
No, the next time we go to market for permanent bonds is in September, but it would be nice to get this in place well before then. Certainly, there's no urgency to get this approved within the next couple of weeks, but, the sooner the better, because that way we can distribute our new financial policies to the rating agencies in advance of our bond rating.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep it on the radar, and I don't know, I guess maybe we can try to get this done before town meeting for whatever reason. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. It would be nice to show the agencies when we went in September that the policies had been voted on and that we had started to implement them, as opposed to going in and saying they've been voted, but we haven't started the implementation process yet.
Okay, great, thank you.
Question?
Ann?
Yeah, just, my only question is, so we're just looking at the policies that we have in place now are the existing policies are staying the same. This is just adding on to them, the two of them, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Good question. Anything else on this topic? Good, let's move on. Ed, if you can give us your presentation of sorts on the fiscal 16 budget. Well, I see big pictures and lights on the screen there, so.
If that's okay, while Ed is getting ready to go up there, I just want to give a quick overview. We knew this was going to be a challenging year. We've been saying that for a couple of years. We could see, read the tea leaves, so to speak, you know what's going to be coming. But, we are proud that we're able to present to you tonight a balanced budget. Overall, we have a 3.28% increase over FY15. The majority of that, the vast majority of that, is driven by debt and interest on the new middle school. So if you actually look at this, the individual sheets that Ed will show you, on the town side, the operations are only up 1.4%. And on the school side, we've recommended a 1.55% increase. So the overall, if you look at the net increase to the budget, if you subtract out the debt and interest on the middle school, if you subtract out the debt and interest on the upcoming purchase of South Hold Road, the 61A land, we're at about 1.34%. So, I don't want, when we come in and we say it's a 3.28% increase, I just want to remember that of that, operations on the town side of 1.4, school 1.55, for an overall of 1.34 net debt and interest. So it's a solid budget, it's conservative, and Ed's going to explain it all.
Thank you, Julie. Through the chair, to the members of the Finance Committee, we are presenting a balanced budget to you tonight. We presented this presentation to the Board of Selectmen on Monday night. They have taken a vote to forward it to you to begin your process. So what I can tell you is that we have a balanced budget, and I'll get into the specifics as the presentation unfolds. We have total appropriations of $58.2 million, with revenue sources totaling $58.2 million as well, leaving a excess or unobligated balance of $8.15.
Now that's what you call tight budget.
On the revenue side, we have local receipts up 7.57%, or $587,000 and change. We are recommending level cherry sheet state aid at this point in time. Our tax levy is up about $1.2 million, or 3.50%. The various debt exclusions approved by the voters of this community. The high school debt is up about $12,582, just shy of 1%. Debt exclusion for the middle school. This is a significant increase right here, an increase of $1.1 million. Also, a ban that we currently went out for in September to help pay for the construction of the middle school that we're going to convert over to a bond this coming September. The ban interest payment is $126,000 and change. Debt exclusion for a piece that we're going to bond in September. We will have an interest payment due of $76,364, offset by a premium we received on the last bond sale for the middle school of $58,672. Total available funds is down $942,000, and we can get into the specifics of that, what's driving that number, but that's down 43.40%. Total revenue, $58.2 million, up $2.1 million, or 3.82%. On the appropriation side, the appropriation for $58.2 million meets all our current union contractual obligations. It increases departmental operating budgets by an average or a blended average of 1.40%. It increases the school department, as Julie indicated, by 1.55%. There are no new positions funded on the general government side. I can tell you the school department has requested 8 full FTEs. How that ultimately plays out, we don't know yet. They're going to have to prioritize based upon the recommendation given to them by town manager. But I can tell you that the presented budgets by the departments requested 4 new positions under fire, 2 for police, 1 for DPW, and 8 for schools. This budget does provide added debt and interest to meet our obligation for the Auburn Middle School. It meets all other debt and interest obligations, all but for a warrant article that I believe, will be submitted for SOAR Enterprise Fund. That request is going to ask for an authorization, I believe, of 1.1 million, Jeff? 1.1 or 1.2. Being an enterprise authorization, those funds would come directly from the enterprise fund. So there would be a direct offset to that expense through fees or any other revenue sources identified. This budget anticipates expected increase in solid waste collection. The contract for Allied expires on 6/30. We have received some estimates. We believe that contract is going to be increased by about $50,000 for a period beginning 7/1/15. But it will be offset by a $50,000 savings that we recognize by amending our contract with Wheelabrator that was done in January of 2015. The budget currently recommends a $140,000 increase in our Bay Path assessment. We know out of that 140, 78,151 is directly attributable to the debt and interest costs for their new school. And we are estimating, and I want to say it's an estimate, the difference between 140 and 78 for a expectation that the operating budget will increase as well, and we know our school enrollment for the upcoming fiscal year, there's a net increase of 11 students. So that's going to have an impact on the assessment. I can tell you I had several discussions with Dean Ikabuchi from Bay Path. At this time, they're not prepared to give us assessment. We just received a letter from the superintendent indicating that their assessments will be released on March 10th. So that's one of the question marks that we want to identify as this is a moving target. We will get you that information as soon as it becomes known to us. Employee benefits, we can tell you that we received some information today from GBS. They're our advisors on our group health insurance. The funding that we have identified is adequate enough, we believe, to meet our obligation for the upcoming fiscal year. The only unknown there is our reinsurance, which will be bid in May. We did use an estimated amount of 20%. We believe that will be sufficient enough to meet that portion of the stop loss. So we think we're okay now, but this is another question mark that could potentially impact the budget a little further down the road. This budget also continues our commitment towards our OPEB trust. Once again, we have a $500,000 appropriation in the FY16 budget. On the appropriation side, a level fund state cherry sheet charges, assessments, and offsets. I think the governor has indicated that he's going to do his best to hold that harmless, even given the $750 million state deficit. So we believe that there is a commitment towards at least maintaining that level of funding. I believe the governor's budget is due out in early March, so that will be the first set of numbers. We may have to fine-tune and tweak this once those numbers come in. This budget does reduce the amount that we provide for abatements and exemptions that are allowed under real estate taxation. It is reduced by $50,000 because we are no longer using overlay surplus as a revenue source to offset the operational side of the budget. The budget also provides for $124,000 and change, equivalent to FY15 funding for Medicaid-related expenses. As you know, that's an outside article that is presented by the school committee every year. And the budget also provides for roughly a $7,100 appropriation. This is a return on an investment for a $500,000 trust that we have set up for the Auburn High School gym. So as you can see, here are all the departmental budgets. If you look halfway down the first set of blocks, you see that the departmental budget increase Recommendation is $188,926, a blended 1.40% increase. If you go down 2 lines from that, you'll see the school department is up $356,200, or 1.55%. And you'll look at all the other appropriations. Clearly, you can see debt and interest is really driving this budget this year. But we are allowed to raise that outside of Prop 2.5 as allowed by the voters via a debt exclusion vote. Overall, a 2.139, $2,139,698.26 increase, 3.82%. I really want you to focus on this, because if you look at the last entry that's highlighted in blue, we want to show what difference that debt and interest makes on the overall increase of the budget. If you take the Bay Path assessment increase of $78,151, and you take the portion attributable to the Auburn Middle School, the total is $1,355,000. If you back that out and net that out, the overall increase is 1.40%. Now, under 1.40, that also includes a piece for South Hold Road, which I did not back out because that was not done by a mandate of the voters. If you take out the South Hold Road piece, that gets it down to 1.34%. So it's a very modest increase if you subtract out some of those fixed costs. Here's a visual of the allocation by function, what's driving that 2.139. You look in debt and interest, out of that 2.1 million, 1.8 is strictly debt related. Employee benefits is $337,000. A reduction in capital, and this is primarily due to that one-time use of stabilization funds in FY15. That was $450,000, no longer needed in the budget for FY16. Outside articles, sewer capital. Outside articles would be stabilization, sewer capital, abatement, solid waste, results in a reduction over current fiscal year by $297,000. Departmental budget's up $188,000. School budget up $356,000. Bay Path up $140,000, and sewer enterprise up $77,000. If you net all those out, it comes up to $2.139 million. On the revenue side, once again, this was the earliest slide. Revenue projections are $58,213,260.25, up 3.82, and we'll get into the detail of each one of those. Under the tax levy, we're raising $38,243,323.58, broken out as follows. It raises $35,631,119.49 under the levy. That's within the levy limit. Outside of the levy limit, these are all the debt exclusion votes. We're raising $2,612,204.09. Once again, these are attributable to debt exclusion votes as approved by the voters for the Auburn High School and the Auburn Middle School. This budget utilizes 2.0 out of a possible 2.5%, broken out as follows. Once again, 1.25 going towards the operational side of the budget. Consistent with the financial policies, we're using 1/10 of 2.5, or 0.25, for the capital budgets. And it also utilizes 2/10 of Prop 2.5, or 0.50, for a Bay Path project. Now, I can tell you the Bay Path portion of this, 0.50 represents $188,000. The actual capital assessment attributable to Bay Path school construction is $214,000. So we should be going over 2% in order to absorb that additional amount. We're holding the line right now at 2.0. So the tax levy, which we're building this into the 2.0, and it's really that difference is really coming out of the 1.25%, the difference between the 214,000 and the 188. This budget utilizes $450,000 of new growth for the operational side of the budget, which is allowed outside of the calculation of 2.5. Available funds, as you can see, the first two items, overlay surplus and free cash. This is the first year of a 3-year phase-out that we're no longer using free cash and overlay surplus to fund any portion of the operational side of the budget. That was part of the financial policies. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory, giving us a total revenue source of $1,229,819.72. Level funded cherry sheet state aid, same level as 15, $10,385,570. Here's where we made some changes over the current fiscal year. I'll explain why. There's a shift here. Those zeros shouldn't be there. Those values are really attributable to motor vehicle excise. Motor vehicle excise, we increased from a recap value for the current fiscal year of $2,367,000 to 2.8. And we did that because the actuals for FY14 came in at 2.9 million. So we're not going the full extent that we would be allowed to go. In the event that there's a tapering off, I can tell you that the first commitment received in FY16 as compared to the first commitment for FY15 is basically dead level even. So there's no growth in motor vehicle excise. We're just hoping the other commitments come in at the same level. If not, we got a buffer to absorb that differential if that should happen.
Ed, what time frame was that?
Which time was the actual receipts?
Yeah.
That would have been 7/1/13 through 6/30/14. Actual receipts received 2.9 million. Hotel motel tax, we received $1,054,000, so given that level of receipts, we increased our recommending a projected $900,000 for FY16. Everything else, we came in at roughly the amount we received for FY14. Once again, total local receipts, 8.3 million, an increase of 587,000 or 7.57%. Now, if you look at revenue as a pie chart, this is the amount of revenue we're receiving by revenue category. Tax levy, under the levy limit, we are receiving, out of our total revenue, 61.21% is coming from tax levy. In addition to that, which is tax levy, is a debt exclusion portion at 4.49. So we're receiving roughly 65% of our total revenue through taxation. Followed by cherry sheet state aid, 17.84. That is down slightly from FY15, even though it's level funded. Local receipt share is at 14.35%, followed by debt exclusion, which is a component of tax levy at 4.49, and available funds at 2.11. In summary, we have total appropriations of $58,213,252.10. Total revenues of $58,213,260.25, leaving a whopping unobligated balance of $8.15.
I think I mentioned to Jeff, that doesn't cover a pizza anymore for us up here. What did we say, coffee or something? Yeah, coffee.
So like I told the Board of Selectmen, there are really 3 items that bear watching that may impact the budget. One of those pieces somewhat solidified today, but a minor piece still due to come in. Group health insurance is 1. Bay Path is 2. And Cherry Sheet State Aid is the 3rd. Those 3 items could significantly impact one way or another the budget presented before you tonight. We're hoping to at least get the state aid numbers by middle of March, the latest. I think the numbers are due to come out on or about March 10th when we're getting the Bay Path assessment. So those 2 should be coming in early March. The group health is the piece that we won't know until May, until the bids go out. But like every year, we estimate a administrative value on the stop loss, so it hasn't significantly impacted the budget one way or another in prior years.
Okay, great. So actually, we'll have an idea in the next couple of weeks on those other items. So not that far away. March is next week.
So, Mr. Chairman, I can field any questions at this point. That concludes the presentation piece.
Yeah, I'll open it up. Questions, comments?
Question?
Ann?
Hi, related to this, could you give us a, maybe give us a breakdown of the actual revenues and the anticipated revenues for 2014?
The actual revenues are part of this presentation.
So everything's right there, that
Yeah, if you
page?
look at the local receipts portion,
Yeah,
those are the actual revenues we received. Now, we use that as a basis to formulate our projections for FY '15. 15, we are not going to know until,
until it's done.
right, which
Right.
will be sometime in mid-July.
Well, that I know. So there's just an inclusive list of all the local receipts here for on?
Yes.
Okay. My other question is, I guess, sort of related to the budgets. Could you give us a breakdown of free cash? In other words, what were the dollar, how is it composed? Over in this, under in this?
I can tell you our free cash that was certified as of June 30th, 2014 was about 6.1 million. And free cash is a computation of a number of things.
If I can just, I just meant for this last fiscal year, for fiscal 2014.
Oh, what made that up?
Yeah,
I do not have that calculation with me.
yeah,
But I
that's,
can tell you, we had local receipts in excess of, it was about $1 million. So that played, our free cash certification was about $2.1 million more than the prior fiscal year. So it's a combination of excess local receipts and appropriation surpluses.
okay.
So it's roughly $1 million in excess local receipts and $1 million in appropriation surplus.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions this time? Just to clarify, Ed, a couple of things. It looks like the debt and debt service on the new middle school is about 1.3 million, about equal to the high school. Is that going to be where it should be for the next 20, 25 years, whatever we're...
For the most part, both high school and middle school is level debt service, so that's the amount we're required to raise every year to meet that obligation.
Okay.
I can tell you that we recently had a refunding bond issue on the high school, and we saved approximately $300,000 per year for the remaining balance of that refunding issue, which is 10 years. So over that 10-year period, we saved the taxpayers roughly $3 million
Okay,
that we no longer have to raise,
great.
because we went out at a lower interest rate.
So the new middle school, the new debt that's coming on in 16, is that going to be about what it will be annually,
Yes.
approximately? Okay. My other question, sort of related, is the Bay Path debt service, the capital side of it anyways. That amount, is that going to shift year to year based on our population at Bay Path?
No, I think that, the capital is fixed.
It
That's a
does
different
fix.
calculation
Okay.
than the regular assessment for,
Okay, I just want to, I
Yeah.
thought that was the case, I wasn't sure. And a related question to that, the increase in students, which is now 11 for next year, well, it's February 25th. How the heck do we know how many students are actually going to be going there next year? I mean, that seems even early
the
for this.
numbers are recognized as of October 1.
Okay,
What I can tell you is the total enrollment increase for Bay Path for all districts was 21. 11 of those are Auburn's.
interesting.
Yeah.
And the
Auburn's share, our share is more than 50% of the total growth
Growth
in
there.
student enrollment for the upcoming year.
And with their expansion and renovation that they're doing there, are they adding additional students to the building?
I don't know.
Okay. I did some math, it's about 5,000 per student for Auburn, give or
That
take.
may be the net after you apply the state aid, but I think the per pupil cost is somewhere around $12,000.
Yeah, I'm just talking the
Yeah.
net that we were talking about after the capital. Okay. Just want to make sure I understood that correctly. All right. Anything else? Okay. We know these numbers are going to move around a little bit. Therefore, when we start opening up these budgets, we can kind of do what we want with them. We don't need to stay within our $8.53 limit on this, okay? So let's have some good, healthy discussions on these budgets, fully well realizing that they're going to change somewhat. Our bottom line will change. So let's, sharpen our pencils, as Bill Westland would say, and try to put some pretty good effort onto this. Ed, what do you figure, it'd be second, third week of March when you give us a revision on where the
We're
budget
going to
is?
revise this as numbers become available to us.
Okay,
So,
you're not going to hold back?
no, I think what we have done in the past is we'll give you an updated summary, a packet reflecting those changes. Even if the Finance Committee should vote a budget that is not what's recommended, we'll make those updates on the fly and give you a report the following week to reflect those
Okay.
changes.
That's fine, good. Anything else? Good, yeah, I don't feel it's necessary to open up the budget, any of the budgets tonight. We could start next week on that. And yes, we are gonna meet next week, and get cranking on some of this stuff here. Let's see. Okay. Good. Our last item before we adjourn is, we've got some minutes that Sharon had dutifully put together for us from May 7th, 2013, June 5th, 2013, June 26th, 2013, August 7th, 2013, October 9th, 2013, October 29th, 2013, and December 4th, 2013, and our joint meeting on January 29th, 2014. Any corrections, comments? Actually, no comments allowed. Any corrections? Okay, great. So we're going to meet next week, 7 o'clock. Julie?
Just if I may, just a reminder that tomorrow night there is a joint meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So it is not on the budget, it is on the bylaw.
6
review,
o'clock, right?
But it's 6
Here?
o'clock tomorrow night here.
Here.
With the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the bylaw review committee.
Okay. Thanks for the reminder. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so we'll meet next week. I'm going to talk to Sharon about what budgets make sense to take a look at. We have a whole bunch of smaller, easier budgets, including our own. We'll probably get to those. And I guess as convenience allows for department heads, if we can reach out to them. I would rather them come in at their convenience instead of ours and try to get as much of that done. We've got a couple of big budgets, obviously. We've already got the school department set for later on in March, And it'd be good to get, does it make sense to get the DPW in early or later? Is there, just because of their own issues? What do you think, Ed?
There may be some conflicts with, that wouldn't allow the DPW director to come in. Can we check with him and we'll get back
Yeah,
on that?
absolutely. Oh, that's fine, unless anyone has a preference. Does anyone have vacation time or time out coming up soon that they want to try to make sure they're around for certain budgets coming in?
I'm gonna be gone, like, March 10th to 16th, so whatever that Wednesday is, let's see.
Okay,
March 11th, I won't be here, but I'll be,
and if you could let me know if there's certain budgets you definitely want to be around for, yeah, think about it, then we'll make sure we
Police, fire,
accommodate that.
DPW,
Yeah, okay.
those big ones. The little
Okay.
ones I'm okay with.
Okay, that's fine. All right, anything else? Julie, we're not going to see you for a while, right? You don't,
You want me, I'll
nah,
come.
you know, it's all right. You, no, you deserve a
Leave it out.
little nod here time, so that's fine. All right, if there isn't anything else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so voted. Thank you. Good night.